Hello, I am sitting here with Jennifer Blades and Andrew Stewart, and we are going to talk about Side by Side by Sondheim, which is happening right here in the Live Art Studio this Friday and Saturday, the 13th and 14th of January at 7:30. Jennifer and Andrew, welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. So there's so much to talk about. I guess the term of art these days is to unpack. What is it? Let's start with Jennifer. What is it that that you like? What about this show? What is it that sort of connects with you?
This show has some of my favorite Sondheim numbers in it. I'm a real Sondheim fan, and I tend to like a lot of his earlier works. Not that I don't like his later works, but I really do love a lot of the earlier songs. I'm singing one of my favorite songs, which is Losing My Mind, this weekend. And I've been singing that song for a long time, since my junior year in high school. That was the first time I sang it, because on Long Island, we always did Broadway.
Oh yeah,
So
that's right.
yeah, it's just, I think that some of the best songs of Sondheim are in this show.
And and this show for a long time, as other newer pieces, things like Sweeney and Into the Woods, people would always interpolate.
Yeah.
And then Sondheim said, no, 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 no. If you want the other songs, you do the other show.
Right.
So that sort of faded. But what you realize with this show, to me, it's almost like a time capsule in a way. You really see who he was
In the beginning.
in the beginning.
Absolutely.
Which I think is great. Andrew, tell me what's your connection with the show? What do you like about it?
Well, with this production or
Either.
Because I have done the show before. I did it at a performing arts high school
Right.
many years ago. And actually, I mean, hearing you talk about losing my mind, it was great being with these high school students as they had their first experience with Sondheim. So that's always been very special. I'm a huge fan of Sondheim anyway. So when I got the opportunity to do this, I just jumped at it. I don't think there's a single song in the show that I don't like. He has a way of capturing exactly what he's going for. And it's just magical, really.
To me, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. When I listen to or work on a piece of Sondheim, what I'm always struck by is how dense the material is. It's not just musically dense. The text is incredibly dense, and you need to hear it more than once to get it. And every time, I am still hearing little subtle things. I just actually listened to a little night music not long ago, and it wasn't the big, well-known songs, but it was a couple of the moments where the Liebeslieders sing, and I was struck by some really interesting, subtle turns of phrase with them that I've known that section for years and years and years, longer than I'd care to admit, but I'm still hearing little new things.
Sondheim had a mantra. He's talked about it in his book, and his mantra was, content dictates form, less is more, God is in the details. I think that last one especially, I mean, you really hear it. And it's fascinating too that he really thought of himself as a composer. He thought of writing lyrics as, well, I think he called it a chore at one point.
Right. We talked about this once.
It's fascinating because he was so good at it, but he really wanted to be considered a composer.
Right.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have been involved with his 80th birthday concert at Kennedy Center. And when Stephen came in, I was really struck by first of all, how involved he was. He had been very careful about the singers that he wanted to sing. And we had Michael Cerveris and Brian Darcy James and Maria Friedman. But what struck me was not only how careful he was about the singers who were doing this, but little details about pronunciation. Just the subtlety with which, when he was at that first rehearsal that he was there for, was really sort of an interesting and exciting. It was really a pretty extraordinary event, and the details, were there. So, Losing My Mind. Do you have a favorite song?
At the moment, Marry Me a Little, just the combination of Kimberly Christie singing it and then the two piano
Absolutely.
accompaniment. And what's funny, I was thinking about this on the drive home last night. It actually reminds me a bit of the end of Into the Woods. No More, that's the name of the song. But just having done productions of Into the Woods, that song has a special place in my heart, and I think it was reminding me of it a little bit too.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
she's killing it. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, this is really
she's fabulous.
yeah. This is a wonderful cast, and this is a cast made up of people who've been with one exception, who's
Yes.
new, Ryan, who I didn't,
Ryan Alexander.
Ryan
Yeah.
I had not met until tonight, and then I saw him sing, and he's just amazing.
He's wonderful.
But everybody else in the cast, Mercy Calhoun, Kaylin Bedsworth, Kimberly Christie,
Christie.
Jason, Buck Walter, who am I missing?
Oh, Jennifer Blades.
Jennifer
Me.
Blades. That's right. You're singing Jennifer
Yeah.
Blades, and of course Andrew and Noah on piano, Noah Dion on piano. So it's a really wonderful group of artists doing this,
Right.
and I think it gives you the opportunity to dig a little deep, which I think is
Mhm.
awesome.
And I actually gave Ryan probably my favorite song. I mean, I love Losing My Mind, but I gave Ryan my favorite song,
Which is
The Boy From.
Oh.
you and I discussed that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, there was the question of who's going to do the Madam song and who's going to do I'm Still Here and, Give and Take and stuff like that. And so I let him do The Boy From.
Wasn't The Boy From, wasn't that sort of supposed to be sort of a satirical take on
Girl from
the Girl from
Ipanema.
Ipanema?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
Oh, and you hear
Straight
it
parody,
immediately.
Yeah.
You hear it immediately,
Yeah, these songs, what you realize is there's again, it's just very rich. When I was living on Mount Vernon Square going to Peabody, I had this album. I probably listened to it 2 or 3 times a week. The original cast
wow.
recording of Side by Side.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
The London cast.
Yeah, the London cast, the very first one. Well, listen, I think this is going to be a blast. We have tickets available.
We do.
And it's again,
But they're going fast.
they are going fast. I was just looking at the number, so it's a good problem to have. So
It
if
is.
people want to come, you better get in there early. So anyway, so this Friday and Saturday, January 13th and 14th, 7:30 p.m. Seeing a show here at the studio is really great because it gives you a chance to see a performance where you're actually probably just about this close.
And I love the 2 pianos.
Yeah, I do. And one of them is mine.
Even better.
And my son told me it sounded better here at the studio than it did at home.
Oh,
So
is it
the other
staying?
day. So no. No, it misses its home.
Aw.
But it'll stay through the weekend for Side by Side by Sondheim. So Jennifer, Andrew, thank you so much. And thank you for putting this show up. I saw the rehearsal tonight. It's going to be amazing. So bravo. It's going to be great. All right. Thank you. Come see us this weekend, Live Art Studio, this Friday and Saturday night. Get your tickets at liveartsmd.org. And we'll see you at the theater.